and all of that. So like I said the other day, guys, remember when you pick something off the shelf, there's a reason why you, for instance, take all gold tomato sauce, or you take Albany low GI white bread, or Clover milk, for instance. And it is not, so sorry to lie to you, it is not because of something, it's not because of you. It is actually because of the marketing campaigns that the marketers have launched and the companies have launched in order to actually convince you to buy their specific products. So that's what companies want to do. They have to convince you to buy their products. Otherwise, what's going to happen is they are going to become irrelevant. We're going to forget about them. There'll be new products on the market, and they obviously want to maintain that competitive advantage that they have. So they are not only competing with brands that are similar to them, they are literally competing for that part in your brain. That if I say tomato sauce, what are you guys thinking? Some of you will go, okay, I'll go Wimpy, because I like Wimpy, but I know we've had this debate. But some of you go all gold. If I say milk, you'll go, some will go Douglasdale, others will go Clover. What about if I say things like chocolate slab? Some of you will go Cadbury, others will go Lindt. So when we look at what the definition of consumer behavior is, so this is the behavior pattern of decision-making units that is directly involved in the purchase and the use of products. So surprise, surprise, it's not only you that actually make the decisions. It's also your friends that's around you, your family, and all of them assist you in making certain decisions. So consumer behavior also includes a decision-making process preceding, so what happens before the actual behavior, as well as determining the actual behavior pattern. So it consists of two things, guys. The first one is the overt acts. So these are the acts that can actually be observed by people. So for instance, imagine standing in front of the shelf. I have to choose what type of tomato sauce I want to buy. I'm standing there looking at the prices, looking at what am I getting. So some of us will stand there for a long time, compare all the prices, and then decide, look at all the brands, and then decide which one we actually want. Others will just look, where's the all gold, grab all gold, and leave. Then we have the COVID processes. So the COVID processes is the part that cannot be seen. So this is the process that happens in your brain. If you only use all gold, for instance, you'll go, where's the all gold? There it is. Thank you very much. Done. If you, for instance, are not very brand loyal, because remember, not everyone is brand loyal to products. So if you're not very brand loyal, you might look at the price first, might look at which one do you think tastes nice. You will actually go back into your memories and into experiences that you've had previously with tomato sauce. So you might think of the braai you were at last weekend where you had hot dogs. They had tomato sauce. You kind of liked that tomato sauce. But now you just have to quickly remember, what did the bottle look like? And then based on that, you will choose a specific brand of tomato sauce. So we need to know why customers or consumers behave the way they do, so that we can explain, influence, and predict their behavior. Guys, this is a very cruel world that we live in. So there's a documentary. I'll find the documentary and I'll share the link with you, where they actually, this is part of that marketing school of thought that we spoke about the other day. So they actually created this whole consumer behavior because they wanted us to buy their products. And companies want us to be materialistic. Companies want us to always want more, because if we are never satisfied, we are continuously going to buy their products. So companies are not going to manufacture or sell something to customers that they don't want. Remember, they want profit. And the only way they can really get profit is to determine and predict our consumer behavior. Okay, so guys, let's quickly start. Different brands of rice. Okay, so we've got Spar, we've got Speco, we've got E-Rice, Tastic, and then we have Woolworths' Basmati rice as well. Okay, so guys, obviously when I showed the slide, you looked at every single one and you immediately created a thought, or you immediately created a thought about each specific brand. Okay, so let's start. So which one caught your eye first between the long grain Speco, the E-Rice, Tastic, and Basmati? Which one were you like, oh, okay, yes, I recognize this one. I like this one. Okay, so Hamazi is Tastic. Ooh, another Tastic. Tastic. Okay, more Tastic. Okay, which one were you guys essentially judging a little bit? Like, really, like, that is not something I'll buy, or that is not something I really know, haven't seen this one yet. Speco? Ooh, okay, E-Rice. Okay, so guys, can you see, by just showing you various brands of rice, all of a sudden you have a thought in your head, what's this one looks like flour? Probably has some flour in it because it's Woolworths. It's fancier than anything else. And you immediately almost judge the different brands. So sometimes you might say, ugh, I don't like Beacon chocolates. And if I ask you why, you don't really know. You just don't. Okay. And all of that is part of consumer behavior. So when we look at what determines consumer behavior, okay, so on the one side, we have the individual factors. So this is inside of you. This is based on who you are. And on the other side, you have your group factors. So these are the influences outside of you. So this is, for instance, your family, your friends, what the media tells you, for instance. So if we look, we're first going to start with the individual factors. So the individual factors are largely based on Maslow and on the basic needs that Maslow has described to us. So this is based on your needs, your attitudes, your learning abilities, your personality, for instance, your lifestyle. If you have a lifestyle, for instance, where your parents only shop at Woolworths, which every time I go to Woolworths, I'm like, how do you guys like buy normal things like Handy Andy or Sunlight soap? Like, I don't know why you buy that Woolworths. You can go to Checkers. But anyway, so if you have a lifestyle where you mostly, for instance, buy from Woolworths, then that will determine your judgment and your perception on other products, for instance. If you, for instance, mostly buy from ShopRite, once again, you will have a certain perception and a judgment about products from Woolworths, for instance. So on the other side, we have our group factors. So like I said, this is where the family, friends, opinion leaders, the group that you are in, that's how they influence you. So guys, think about it, for instance. Let's say last week you went to a braai with your friends and you took some vors with. Okay, you just quickly stopped at Pick n Pay, got some vors, and then just took that to the braai. You don't mind vors. I mean, it's nice. You got then your friends were like, dude, like, why would you bring vors? Like, where's your steak? Only women eat vors, not men. Like, you should have brought a steak. Where's your ribs? What is gonna happen the next time you, for instance, meet those friends? When you stand in front of the meat aisle to now grab your braai packet, you're gonna look at the vors and you're gonna remember your friends laughing at you, joking, saying, why on earth would you buy vors? You should have brought a steak or some ribs. and you are not going to buy the wash again because it's learned behavior. You've learned from a previous experience. So without your friends even really knowing, they have determined your future behavior. And I can promise you guys, even if your parents say to you, listen, we are having mash and borscht tonight, would you mind to just quickly go and pick up some borscht for us, on your way back from college? Every time you hear the word and every time you look, you see borscht in front of you, you're going to remember back to that experience that you had at the braai, for instance. Okay, so guys, I quickly want to show you this video. Let me just give me 2 seconds so I can get it first. So this video talks about consumer behavior and why it is vital to be used in marketing itself.
Question: would you build a website?
Yeah, don't worry guys, it's just an advert, so you're not missing anything.
For a major brand with more than 200 million. Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about consumer behavior and why it is vital for success in marketing. Marketing is so much more than just creating a catchy phrase, a memorable image, or a cool tune. Marketing today must be based on understanding consumer behavior, which is ultimately the understanding of how people make decisions about what they want, need, or buy. The study of consumer behavior is critical for 2 reasons. The first reason
Sorry guys.
is that companies want people, not robots, to buy their products or services. To make that happen, companies must understand people at their deepest level of need. The second reason may not be so obvious. Understanding the behavior of your customer can help you better show them what it is they're buying, why they're buying it, and what it will do to improve their lives. Once you discover this, you will have a much better chance at marketing your products and services to the right audience at the right time. According to iResearch Services, there are 4 key factors that can really influence consumer behavior. Number 1 is that consumer behavior is influenced by the opinion of the consumer, which can be a dominant influencing factor. Although ads affect these opinions to some extent, the personal likes and dislikes of consumers hold the greatest influence over the end purchases. The second factor is that consumer spending decisions are often influenced by economic situations. A positive economic environment can make consumers more confident and willing to indulge in purchases than in a negative one. The third factor is that advertising plays a major role in influencing the purchasing decisions of consumers. Most consumers get their information from social media. So, if you want to market in the modern age, you must develop a strong social media presence. The fourth and final factor is that the purchasing power of the consumer helps to influence the consumer's behavior. Although your product may be of high quality, if it fails to meet your target buyer's purchasing ability, the sales of that product will be affected. Consumer behavior is social, personal, and psychological. Understanding, analyzing, consumer behavior and subsequent consumer purchases is critical for your marketing team. Behaviors and actions, this belief has never failed to give accurate, measurable information so that you can set your marketing department up for success.
Okay, so guys, I see my signal's just a bit low. Let me just quickly switch my internet. Okay, so guys, as you can see in that video, it is not only advertising that influences what we buy. It's also the economy. It's also the group that we are part of, and it's also our perceptions about the product. There might be certain products that I will think is the best quality ever, and you might think, that is not very, very good quality. So let's quickly look at the influences although the influences, oh, sorry guys, let me say it the other way around. So what influences the buying decision? So the first one is the environment that we are in. So whenever there is, the economy is not doing very well, think for instance of COVID, also think of panic buying. When COVID happened, what did everyone start doing? They started buying hand sanitizer, gloves, masks, and toilet paper. So what determined us to do panic buying? It was the environment that we were in. Everyone was frightened that all of a sudden the shelves are going to be empty. We will not be able to buy anything. So let's try and buy as much as possible now so that we don't have to sit with that problem of not having enough toilet paper, for instance, when we need toilet paper later on. So if you also think of the economy, when the economy is not doing well, we'll rather save our money. We'll rather only buy the necessary products. We won't splurge as much because we're not sure what is going to happen in the future. So we don't necessarily want to spend a lot of money now if we have that unsurety. And this is also a big thing because governments know that if my citizens are unsure, they are not going to spend money. And obviously government wants us to spend money because it's good for the economy. Then the organization itself. So the company that is busy selling you this product, they will also have certain messages like, for instance, why is our product the best product for you? Then the buying group. So who influences your decision making? And then also yourself. So you yourself also influences your buying decision. So guys, if I use the wash and the braai example again, essentially with every single purchase that you make, there is a risk. If you are making a repeated decision, the risk is obviously decreases. But if you're buying a product for the first or the second time, there is still a risk because it might not taste nice. It might not live up to your expectations. You might eventually realize that the price that I paid is just not equal to the value that I received of this specific product. If you are, for instance, going to share this product with your specific reference group, there's also a risk because they might like the product and ask you, where did you get this? I would love to also get it. Or they might laugh at you and say, oh my goodness, like, why did you even buy this specific product? So the decision-making process will move through 5 phases. And guys, this actually happens every single time you make a decision. Obviously, like I said, if it's a repeated purchase, you will move faster through the 5 phases. So the first phase is that there is an awareness of an unsatisfied need. So it's not necessarily something like, I am thirsty, I have to get water. It can also be, our milk is finished, I have to go and buy more milk. So it can be an awareness of any type of need. Then you'll move on. So you'll gather information on how best to solve this problem. So in particular with phase 2, if you are not very brand loyal, so for instance, you don't really mind what milk you use, then you might first go and look for specials. Is there any milk on specials? How can I solve this problem? Should I rather buy long life milk? Should I buy fresh milk? Are we maybe going away for the week, so I should only get a small bottle of milk, shouldn't get a 2-liter. Then we will do the evaluation of the possible solution. So we will then weigh each solution up against the other one, and we will then essentially decide on a course of action. So we'll run through all the options inside of our heads. Are we going away? No, we're not. It's getting warmer, so we're not going to drink as many, well, not today specifically, but it's getting warmer in general. So we're not going to drink as much Milo or hot chocolate. So I don't probably have to buy a 2-liter. A 1 liter will also be fine. You guys might think, oh, I'm going home soon. I'm not going to need a 2 liter of milk. Let me rather just get a small one. And then you will make the purchasing decision. So you'll go and grab your milk based on all of these scenarios that you've actually went through in your head. And then you will have a post-purchase evaluation. So guys, with a post-purchase evaluation, once again, if it is a repeated decision, the post-purchase evaluation won't really be as intense as, for instance, buying milk for the first time. So if, let's say, there's a new brand of milk, it's actually on special, and it looks kind of interesting. So let me try this new brand of milk. You will then buy it. You'll go home and you will use the milk in your coffee, hot chocolate, Milo, or just drink a glass of milk. And you will then decide for yourself, do I like this milk? Don't I like this milk? Will I rather go back to the brand I've always used? And all of that takes place as the post-purchase evaluation. So guys, if you, for instance, buy a brand for the first time, all of these phases will take a little bit longer and they will be more intense. So imagine that you are standing in front of an aisle of chocolates, chocolate brands, chocolate flavors you've never seen. So now you're going to look at each of them individually. Ooh, here's a new chocolate. This one looks nice. It has biscuits in. I like biscuits. And what else can we put in the chocolate? It has, let me quickly think. It has nuts in as well. So it has nuts and biscuits in. I like nuts and biscuits. Don't really know the brand, but the price looks kind of fair. I'm willing to pay this price. You'll then buy the chocolate, and the post-purchase evaluation will take a lot longer because you'll taste the chocolate. Do I like it? Do I not like it? The manufacturers sincerely hope that you do like it because they want you to buy it again. And then you will make your post-purchase evaluation. Is the price that I paid for this specific chocolate equal to the value that I received from this specific chocolate? Okay, so guys, when we move on from consumer behavior, and I just want you guys to keep in mind that we are going to talk about consumer behavior a lot throughout this chapter because marketing, consumer behavior, as well as target market segmentation, all links together because part of consumer behavior is that we have to actually control and market to the correct market. There's no use that we look for or that we are trying to market to the wrong segment because none of our adverts are actually going to appeal to that specific segment. And that is like the worst thing that can happen. Okay, so guys, when we look at market segmentation, the first one is we have to go and define what is a market. So obviously, it is a group of people. Okay, it's a group of people. All of them have different needs. The thing that the company has to do right is that they have to find the right fit for the right customer need. If we miss our target segment, we're going to just essentially waste our money because they are never going to buy this product from us. There's obviously also money involved because remember, we have to part with our money. We have to part with our finances. And the companies at the same time also want to make profit. So they need to make sure that they do the correct marketing to the correct market segment. There's also certain restrictions sometimes on market and market segmentation because you obviously cannot market to every single so you can't market every single product. For instance, in South Africa, you are not allowed to market cigarettes or any tobacco products, essentially. And then the last one is the credit card. So there's a transaction that takes place. we part with our money, and the manufacturers part with the actual product. Okay, so guys, when we continue, so the market segmentation can be divided into the consumer market, the industrial market, the resale market, as well as the government market. So I'm just going to quickly go over this, guys. This is not, you guys only have to be able to know this. I'm just quickly going to explain to you the different markets. So the difference between the consumer market and the industrial market. The consumer market are for us as consumers. So we will, if we buy a product, we are not going to use it again in the manufacturing process to make something else. So think, for instance, if you're going to buy tomato sauce, you're buying tomato sauce to use it for yourself. You're not going to buy tomato sauce to manufacture another product with it. Us as consumers are 99% of the time not going to buy sugar to bake something with it so that we can sell it to someone else, for instance. And that is the difference between a consumer and an industrial market. So the industrial market, I think you guys know, for instance, Baker's Bin. So Baker's Bin sell flour and sugar and coconut, any baking goods in on large scale. So they can, for instance, be seen as targeting the industrial market because most of their customers will go to them to buy a product to manufacture something else that they can sell. So obviously the industrial market is a lot smaller than the consumer market because it is also very, very specific. You won't buy 10 kilograms of flour every day, for instance, if you're just going to bake 2 cakes. Okay, so guys, the next one is the resale market. So the resale market is obviously the resale of particular products. So if you think of the used car, used goods, second-hand stores, for instance. And then the last one is the government market. So this is where the main buyers are the state, local government organizations. So they are obviously also in the market for certain products. If you think of Eskom has to buy cables, they have to buy office chairs, office tables. If you think of maybe the government has a big birthday party that's coming up, then they are going to need suppliers that will supply the food, the catering, the tent, the cake, for instance, and all of that forms part of the government market. The one that we are largely going to focus on is obviously the consumer market, but I just wanted you guys to know the difference between the different markets. So when we look at the steps to follow when we segment a market, so guys, what essentially happens, and I'll show it to you in the next slide as well, is imagine, let me quickly show this to you so I can explain it a little bit better. Imagine a big chocolate cake. It is just going to be too expensive to market to this whole cake. If we market to the whole cake, it essentially means we are targeting anything from, let's say, 5-year-olds to 98-year-olds. A 5-year-old and a 98-year-old has different needs. So instead of marketing to the whole chocolate cake, and then spending so much money to have almost like individual conversations with every single age group because all of them have individual needs, what we say is let's look at our product and then let's only market to a specific slice of the total market. So when you guys get this in a test, think about it. We are cutting up the market. We are segmenting the market. So the steps to follow in segmenting the market is we have to identify the needs. Like I said, a 5-year-old and a 98-year-old have different needs. Then the group needs to be a homogeneous subgroup. We need to select our target market, and then we have to position the product within that specific market. So guys, remember homogeneous? We are going to look at heterogeneous now. Homogeneous means the same, where heterogeneous means different. So if we look at what the definition of market segmentation is, we take the total heterogeneous market, so the whole different market. So we take everyone from 5-year-old to 98-year-old, and then we divide them into smaller, more homogeneous groups with relatively uniform needs or characteristics. So guys, if we take our tomato sauce example, All Gold knows that not every single person likes All Gold. So what have they done? They have looked at the market, they have identified the different needs that they can satisfy with their All Gold tomato sauce, and that specific group of people are the people that they are marketing to. So there are 3 different approaches to market segmentation. That's market aggregation, single segment approach, and then we have the multi-segment approach. Okay, so guys, let's start with market aggregation. Okay, so guys, market aggregation is also called the total market approach. So the examples I want you guys to remember here, think of eggs, for instance, think of milk, think of bread. You can do bread as well in here. So the total market approach is also called market aggregation. So we're targeting all customers in a similar way. I mean, guys, we can have a debate about what is the difference between eggs. Yes, I know you get a medium, you get a large, extra large, then you get jumbo. But what is the difference between Egbert eggs and Waldhagen eggs, for instance? I mean, I don't know if there's a specific brand of eggs that you guys like that maybe tastes better than the other brand. Also, what is the difference between Sasko white bread and Albany white bread, for instance? So with this total market approach, we're not really targeting a specific segment. We are targeting the whole market because the whole market have similar preferences and needs with regards to the marketing offer. Like I said, there's not much difference between the different brands of eggs. I know with bread, you now get the low GI and you get the best of both, and you get the brown bread that technically is also a white bread. The brown bread, the bread is not sure. I think it's the green one from Albany. But if you take milk, for instance, there's not really a difference between all the different milk brands. So why are we targeting a specific segment if we can just target the whole market? So what I've done, guys, I have this is from your textbook. So this clearly sets out the different types of approaches. So market aggregation, this is where we target the whole market. Okay, there's not much difference in the products. Then when we have a single segment approach, so single segment approach is where we only have one product that we target different markets with. So for instance, if we look at Head and Shoulders, so guys, back in the day, you could only find one Head and Shoulders. Okay, it was a general Head and Shoulders. It's used for dandruff, and that's it. So they only had one target market. If you had dandruff, you had to buy Head and Shoulders. Now Head and Shoulders have evolved a little bit. They have one for frizzy hair. They've got one for men's hair. They've got an ocean fresh. They've got a pine flavor, smell as well, not flavor. Please don't drink Head and Shoulders. So they have now still only have one product, which is the Head and Shoulders shampoo. But our target market has evolved a little bit. So now we have one for men and we have one for women, for instance. Similar with Pantene. So Pantene has shampoo. Okay, the marketing offer here is Pantene shampoo, but we have different types of shampoo. We have shampoo for dry hair. We have shampoo for frizzy hair. We have shampoo for long hair. We have shampoo for colored hair. So there are different types of shampoo. Okay. So guys, the last one, and I'm using Unilever here because they are the best company to use in this exercise. So what Unilever has done, if you guys look here, they actually have Omo washing powder, it's one of their brands. Surf is one of their brands, and Skip is also one of their brands, and then Sunlight. Okay. All four of these brands have a washing powder. So Surf is a washing powder, Skip is a washing powder, Sunlight also has a washing powder, same with Omo. So why would one company have four different brands of washing powder? And this is where we have a multi-segment approach. So the reason why Unilever has four different types of washing powders is because they are targeting four different markets with their four different washing powders. So remember in first semester we spoke a little bit about LSM, the living standards measure, where it's from 1 to 10. I think you guys can still remember that a little bit. So if we use the LSM on this, Skip is obviously LSM 8 to 10. Also, if you're going to look at the variations of Skip, for instance, they have for dark clothes, and then they have for normal colored clothes as well. So Skip is marketed to the more affluent community in South Africa. And then just below Skip, we have Omo. So in Omo as well, we have different variations in Omo. Then from there, Sunlight, and then Surf is marketed to a lower LSM than the rest of these other three products. Okay, so do you guys understand the difference between market aggregation, where we market to the whole market? We have not segmented the market here. We are targeting the whole chocolate cake essentially. Single segment, this is where we have one product, but we have different flavors, for instance, different types, for instance. If you also think of yogurt, guys, we have one product which is yogurt, but we have different flavors of yogurt. And then the multi-segment approach is where we have different products. Okay, we have different variations of washing powder, and each type of washing powder is marketed to a different type of customer that has different types of needs. Okay, so guys, let's quickly take a break, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to look at Tiger brands. So I actually spoke to my third years yesterday, and we all agreed that Tiger brands is very under the radar. I don't know if you guys are even much aware of the brands that Tiger brands have. But when I show you guys, it's a lot. Okay. I think you guys remember my joke that if Unilever were to remove their products from Pick n Pay, there'll be nothing left. Imagine Tiger brands and Unilever removing their products. Then we'll really have nothing left. So guys, let's quickly take a 15-minute break, come back, and then we will quickly do this class activity.